I'm back again. Alright, just give a more generalization is making in education will be the topic of my talk today, but with SP, Singapore Polytechnic's DNA. Alright, let me introduce myself. My name is Teo Shin Jen. I'm from Singapore Polytechnic School of Triple E. Alright, this is the agenda for today. First of all, intro, mission. We want to find out what is the best thing we can share with you, which is SP's pedagogical approach. Moving forward, how can we embrace making in education? And lastly, I'm more than happy to take any questions. Okay, for those of you that are taking pictures of my slides, not to worry, I actually made it available on the internet. So I'm going to show you the QR code and the download path. So I believe something called SIC. Sharing is caring. And trust me, today there's going to be a lot of acronyms going around. So we will learn a few Singapore favorite way of saying things with acronyms, ERP, VIE, you got it. Alright, so about me, I actually went to Institute of Making when I was a uni student in UCL. So they do have an institute just for dedicated to making, but that is in the UK. Alright, my personal interest is actually cooking. I find when cooking is actually a complex science and it's applied science, and you get to eat the product. The proof is always in the pudding and eating it. Alright, so I make stuff partially because I always have a problem with a lot of things that I do not like. And I want to make it such a way that I like it. So that is my motivation. Alright, if you're interested to know how I marry computing and cooking, which I cook and eat over the internet and controlled by the internet, you can follow the link. Full source code, full disclosure, PCB design, whatnot, everything is there. Alright, interests aside, passions aside, hobbies aside, I also need to cari makan. Okay, cari makan is a Malay word, means that we need to bring home the bacon. Alright, so I have collected a list of paper in due course of my 30-something years on earth. Unfortunately, I never collect one very important piece of paper. It's called Registry of Marriage. Okay, just jokes aside. So today is more than happy. Yeah. Just kidding, jokes aside. Alright. So my profile of all this information is available on the internet. So I am a very strong advocate of authenticity in information. It means that we are able to verify any part of the information that is claimed by somebody. Okay, some trivia. So back in 2012, we actually brought a bunch of students from Singapore Polytechnic. We joined the course, which is making at that time. A relatively unheard word back in 2012. So over the years, we grow. I grew also horizontally. Luckily, my t-shirt still can fit. So this is t-shirts from 2012. Thank you for the high quality Maker Faire, high quality polo. It lasts. I bring it to every continent I visit. UK, UCL, MIT, New Zealand. Alright, China, Shenzhen, which I go almost a tribute every year. I go there to pay homage to the great Hua Qiangbei. Alright, so the mission of SP is to create a caring community of inspired learners to serve with mastery. So it comes at the question, why people make? So as I mentioned earlier on, people make is because they have a problem they want to solve, or they have something that they do not like. Hence, my motivation is to get these students to tease them out what are the things that they do not like and they want to improve on. Hence, that is the intrinsic motivation I always look out in the student. Alright, unfortunately, most of our students nowadays are consumers. If they're not happy about iPhone 4, guess what? They buy iPhone 5. No offense for people from Apple. Alright, so coming back, so we want to instill our students with this sort of a growth mindset. So where does growth mindset come from? Making is a form of growth mindset. If today my talk sounds like MLM, multi-level marketing, sorry, I do not intend to be doing this way. Later you see another MLM, which I call it a maker, lead maker. We got to see in a while. Alright, once the students do the project, very important is we train them how to do show and tell. Okay, just in case you haven't acquired or haven't came across a person technically inclined, when you talk to him, so they don't dare to engage people. So when we want to do a startup, okay, we have people that are very technically inclined and people that are very business inclined. Unfortunately, these two doesn't mix together. So one of my mission is, how can I train people that are entrepreneurial there? They have the deep tech and they have that pitch to go and sell their idea through, of course, the training, to desensitization, through show and tell, and Maker Faire is one of the best platform. Of course, some will argue that why not just do on YouTube and so forth, right? Again, where is the audience? YouTube, the numbers you see there is just a number, but in Maker Faire, you are engaging human, and you might be able to tease out among the audiences the hidden dragon, crouching tigers, nondescript people, and you might not know they might be a PhD or maybe a professor from somewhere. Alright, so hence, the students, they're interested, they join the course. Over the year, we grew insights. And this year round, we actually have SB or more staff to join us. So when we first started, it's me and Mr. Jolin, the very happy-go-lucky guys. And this year, we actually expanded our headcount. We actually have people like Louis is sitting there with all the maker coaches, Louis, Andy, and also Mark. Okay, and also their managers. By the way, their managers are here. Okay, so this is the treasure map of SB. So most of the students or most of the staff in SB, we actually adhere to this very, very dearly. This is our pedagogy framework that we use it for engineering education. It's quite a mouthful, so let me summarize in 30 seconds. So we embrace this pedagogy approach called conceive, design, implement, and operate. Okay, basically at each of these stages, the students and also the staff need to conduct pedagogy in a certain manner. So hopefully the end outcome of the education, the student will produce tangible outcomes. Physical prototypes, functional prototypes. We're talking about engineering systems that work. So the question comes back in, yes, I have all the hard skills, I have all the know-how, I have all the scientific, applied science that I require, but what to do? What should I make? This is always a question. If I ask a student, what can I make or what should I make? 99% of students tell me, I don't know, I'd rather not make. Waste my time, I'd rather go and play game. So we embark on this journey and look on this thing called the design thinking methodology. So basically in design thinking methodology, we emphasize on the process of empathy and sense and sensibility. This is the part where it reinforces the conceive and design part of this CDIO framework. So for example, this morning, we had a talk by Teo about this person. He made the sea charger. He has an empathy or he has a sense and sensibility that he wants to build a solar boat that navigates automatically. So these are the things that we want our student to acquire the skill set with this framework to have that thought process. And having said that, I have the thought process. I have the pedagogy approach, which is the lecturers and the instructors with the technical know-how. But where to make the things? Many years back, we had workshops, but there are silos. Today, I bring to you this concept, Fab Lab, where SB is one of the very first people that adopted Fab Lab, which stands for Fabrication Lab, in the school compound. So we actually build Fab Labs that tailors to different schools. For example, in T11C, our main Fab Lab, we have most of the resources, for example, like laser cutters, 3D printers, large format CNC machines, and whatnot, which is part of the digital fabrication concept. Okay, so we have the hardware, we have the thought process, and we still realize something about our students. They are still consuming. Like why they are still consuming? Why they are not entrepreneur there? Why don't they go and do something? Why do they make something? The habits of mind is the next project we are embarking on to know how to program human. Alright? Programming electronics or Arduino, you just go to the website, go to GitHub, copy some source code. But how about programming human? Programming human to become engineers, programming human to become entrepreneurs or innovators. Is there a way? So this is something we want to find out in our next course of pedagogy. Alright, so a lot of pedagogy talk just now. So the next acronym I want to introduce you is MMM. Alright, it's a very important concept for a maker, M also. So what is MMM? In order to complete a project successfully, we need the 3 M's, which is man-hour, machine, and materials. When I go across these slides with my friend, she just joked with me that MMM is not man-hour, machines, or materials. MMM stands for Meet My Maker. Alright, but again, this is just acronym. So for here, it stands for MMM. So in this case, right, we have the SP Makers Club, which is the community, which is the people that are able to produce things. We use man-hour. We also have the machines, which is located in the maker spaces and fab labs. In SB, we have about 5 Fab Labs so far, and we are still expanding. So some of you that are interested to set up your makerspaces or Fab Labs, we have that particular know-how, and we have that particular purchase list you requested. We can help you with that. All right. And very importantly, I think among all the Institute of Higher Learning, we have one headcount that is unique to other people, which is the Maker Coach. No other institute that I knew of dedicate headcount, as staff headcount, to coach students to make. In SB, in Singapore Polytechnic, we invested very heavily in infrastructure and also in human resource to this course of making. Alright, so coming back, each of the engineering school, for example, in computer engineering, we have also our small little makerspace, we call it the exploration lab, where the devices they have in there are more tailored towards the course, for example, computer engineering course or engineering system course and so forth. So why we want to do all this? We want our students to discover and explore new things to satisfy their curiosity. So having said that, if your students do not have a safe place to do it, let me see a show of hands. How many of you actually try to open up something in your home? Right? Do you open up in the living room or you open it in the kitchen? Did your mother / wife / daughter / daddy, father, husband, please don't do this in my house? Alright. So the question comes back in is, we want to provide a safe space for our students to explore their curiosity, a safe space for them to fail fast and fail forward, which brings me to my next slide. And some of you that are not local, not Singaporean, kiasu and kiasi, you might find a very alien word. Alright? Basically, these two words are so popular, they are this forum made by parents, they call themselves kiasu parents. In this forum, it's all about how to go into the best school. What are the things I need to do to go to XYZ school? How many marks I need to get? Where is the best place to go tuition? We are at this level of competition just for a spot in one of the very branded schools. Alright? And because of this kiasu and kiasi, kiasu basically means that I do not want people to win me. And kiasi basically means that I do not dare to do it before. I always ask other people to do it first. And I see them fail, I learn from their failure. Alright, it's counterintuitive to the other things I want to propose today, which is the FFFF. Alright, which is called the fail fast and fail forward mentality. Alright, if you think about it, if you want people to fail fast, fail forward, you want to have entrepreneur, can they be kiasi? Forever they are waiting for another person, another stupid person, to go and do it first and fail. Is it possible to move forward? That's why I mentioned earlier on, it's counterintuitive. Chinese have a saying, the first person that eat the crab, C-R-A-B, not the C-R-A-P. Alright, basically it refers to the crustacean. It's very aggressive, it's at a very hard shell. A normal Homo sapiens will find that, hey, is this tasty even to begin with? Who is the first Homo sapiens that ate the crustacean? So he's the one that first ate it, and he tastes the very nice content of the crustacean. Of course, he tells the rest of the people. Alright, so having said that, we cannot keep telling our younger people, "Aiya, you can keep failing. You just fail as much as you want. Doesn't really matter." I think this is a very wrong concept. Okay, we need to tell them that yes, this is a safe place to fail. This is the resources that we provision you to fail with, but we must have a deadline to deliver. That's why I want to champion this concept called Demo or Die by this MIT Media Lab founding director. He coined this term. If you don't demo by this date, you are out. Alright, this actually gives us a concept of I feel fast, I feel forward, I reiterate quickly with digital fabrication technique, with the know-how I learned from CDIO. Then hopefully by the deadline, I have something to show other people. And why is that so important? Why proof of concept is important? They want to get funding. Somebody need to pay the bill. Alright, so having said that, another acronym I want to introduce you to is MTTM. Make things that matter. Yes, everybody can make anything. I can make a lightsaber, yeah, it's fun. So I brought my lightsaber to watch the last Star Wars show, and guess what? My contemporary is a 5-year-old boy. So I got people like, why this guy is so weird? Alright, so having said that, we encourage a student to make things that matters. So for example, we have a student that says that, I want to make a controller, a microcontroller that allow people to learn Internet of Things easily. Because they find that connecting ESP8266 to AD-MEGA328 is really a hassle. I will come to that in the detail in a while. So having said that, once you have a student doing things, it has to be documented and curated. Alright, if you do not save this information somewhere on the internet, either instructables.com listed here, or GitHub, or even the MakerShare mentioned by Dale this morning, the information is not captured. Alright, personally, I'm a very lazy person. When a student asks me the same question, sir, how do I connect the Bluetooth to Arduino? Guess what I do? Please visit this URL. So I have a list of URL for all the nodes all necessary. So this actually bridge our learning gap and make the learning curve less steep to the new users. Alright. So now I have a bigger challenge. Should I switch to makershare.com? Alright. Personally, on Instructables, I'm closing to 1 million views. If I switch, I start from 0. And long time ago, back in 2012, when we first started with this bunch of students, they also uploaded their data on the internet. Alright, at that time, there's only one vendor, it's Instructables.com. But nowadays, we have Hackaday, we have Hackster, we have Makershare, and there are more and more service providers providing free platforms for makers to share their content. Okay, my personal preference when I hire people for a job, I ask them for a GitHub link. That's my personal preference. Okay, as I mentioned before, maker that make things that matters. Okay, the next concept I want to introduce to you is a new word, which I saw from the newsletter, which I say Maker Pro. So what it means is actually maker that make things, but they prioritize and they try to make a profit or make a business out of it. So earlier on I mentioned some of my students, 17 years old, they learn how to design PCB, and they find it's very frustrating to use ESP8266 with AD-MEGA328. I apologize for the geek speak. I can be worse, okay. If you need me to elaborate, I'm more than happy to elaborate after the 15 minutes. So having said that, the student designed this particular board with quite Arduino. The reason is very simple. SB, EEE, Arduino. Marketing branding tool, our school director loves it. It's a very good outreach tool. When we go to other school, when we go to secondary school, say, hey, which polytechnic do you want to go? I want to go SB EEE. Thank you to this board. Alright, so these are the marketing plans and also the business plan for this business that is done by this 17-year-old student to thrive. That's the next thing we're looking for. Entrepreneur there, makers, which is students makers or even staff makers. Maybe tomorrow I'm not working with SB anymore. I go and run my startup, who knows? So having said that, these are the things that we want people to embark on. It's a journey, might fail, alright? And the students, they even went to the extent of registering the company with IPRA at their 18th birthday. Legal age, otherwise they cannot issue PO, they cannot collect money, and the stories go on. And to test, we need to have a litmus test on our product. So I get a bunch of students from School of Business. So you look at the picture on the very right. I think you can tell who are the boys and who are the girls, right? Make a guess, who are the ones from the business school? The all girls team. Alright? And the litmus test is, I give you this board, I give this instruction, can you follow and make it, or download the program, or make it connect to internet, send the data to thingsmake.com. Guess what? It happens. Alright, it means that with the right material, right tools, the right way of writing learning materials, people can learn, self-directed learner. That is the number one goal that we want our students to become. Alright, having said that, I was judging a hackathon last Tuesday, the Code Extreme hackathons, and I was really amazed. Secondary 1 student doing machine learning, writing program in Python, using R programming. This is what I teach in the night class for adult students. Alright, so why we want to do hackathons? The reason, if you remember what I mentioned earlier on about our students, we train our students with certain CDL pedagogy, design thinking. Hackathon is a trial by fire. Okay, if you say that our student is that good, how good are they actually? Participate in hackathon, compete with other people in a hackathon, and see who are the one that comes with the right solutions and so forth. So in this case, I'm organizing the hackathon, ASEAN 100 hackathon. So you can visit the website. Okay, Dr. Kiro is asking me. Alright, so coming back, concluding statement, two phrases I keep repeating. Number one, innovation. Number two, entrepreneur tech. Maker movement is the one that is helping us to reach that goal. Alright, concluding statement, if you need to contact me, I'm available on Facebook, I have a blog, I only update on my payday. Alright, and also my email and also my office phone number. Personal handphone number, you can negotiate. Alright, so if you need to collect, take my PowerPoint slide is available here, still feel free to download from here. So thank you everybody, I enjoyed my 15 minutes sharing with you. Alright, so if you need to have any Q&A, feel free to contact me after the session. Thank you.
So hello everybody, my name is Karthikey and I am 14 years old. And today I will be presenting to you my perspective on making. But first I would like to start with a question. What comes to your mind when you think about a maker? Keep it to yourself, but this is what came to my mind when I first heard about making. And if you're one of those people who still thinks this way, I want to change that perception today, and I want to introduce to you to my perspective of what is making today. I started off making, even though it was more destruction than making, when I was around 8 years old. I used to open up the toy cars that I got for my birthday on purpose. Like I would break them on purpose just so I can open them and try to fix them and break it even more. That's how I got started. Then one of my friends introduced me to Arduino. And to me, this was like a gold mine. From my perspective, I was only doing things with a battery and a light. Every time the light would turn on, I would be very excited and I would go show all my friends. So when I saw the Arduino and he showed me the potential, I could not stop thinking about everything I could do with it. Make a RC car, a drone, a digital ruler, a robot. The possibilities to me were endless. And so I remember getting my first Arduino kit. I remember explaining to my parents what an Arduino is and what it does. Because I didn't know myself, but I was trying to explain what it was. Then it showed up. I remember opening the box and taking out the Arduino, and then putting it right back in because I didn't want to break it. As time went on, I did projects like the digital ruler, which measured distance, and the insect robot, which was my first project with the Arduino. As you can see, it's full of hot glue and doesn't work anymore. Then came GeoHackathon. In 2015, I participated in GeoHackathon with two of my friends, organized by Sustainable Living Lab and One Maker Group. These are my friends. This was my first time experiencing any maker culture or going to any hackathon, and it was fantastic. I went in with the expectation that everyone would treat me like a kid, and that it would be a very slow and boring process. But people there taught me how to use an Arduino. At this point, I still don't know how to properly use it. And I somehow managed to drag my friends along who had no idea what we were doing anyway. So, we didn't win anything, but it was a lot of fun. And we got on Facebook, which is nice. But my making journey really started off when I participated in the Maker Apprenticeship Program organized jointly by Sustainable Living Lab and One Maker Group. So the apprenticeship program was structured in a way where it was a few weeks long. They would teach us different skills over the weeks, and we need to do a project on it. So this is our first class, and we are being taught how to use a drill. It was a bit boring, but necessary for safety. That is me using a bandsaw for the first time, and a miter saw, and whatever that is. But what I want to highlight with this experience is a makerspace is a lot different to a school. When I was at school, say we have to build a table right at school, it would go something like this. We would be in teams of 4, there would be one team leader, divide the work in 4 people, follow the plan, get it done. that's what you do in school. If we had to build a table in this case, we would be in a group, make a plan on Monday, come in on Tuesday, shred the plan, come in on Wednesday, make a new plan, do everything on Thursday, and submit a half-finished table on Friday. And that allowed us to be more creative. In school, I would just follow the plan. Here, I was being forced to think outside the box. And as you can see, when one person is charged of doing something, 1.5 people will be doing it. As you can see, the guy behind the photo. In a makerspace, somebody is always there and watching over you, even if you don't want it or you didn't ask for it, which is the reason why makers exist and why we are in here at all. Lastly, I want to talk about the Hover project. This is perhaps my most fun and arguably successful project I've done so far, and this is from last year's Maker Fair. This is the time, okay, this has got a very interesting story behind it. This is the Maker Fair meetup for one maker group before Maker Fair. So one maker group will do 6 projects. They did 6 projects last year, and I didn't want to go for this. I got forced to go for this, but I'm glad I did. So the way they work to get the ideas right is everyone write down whatever comes to your mind as a project for Maker Fair and put it on the table. That's all you do. Then everyone vote on it, and the top 6 projects, whoever submitted those becomes the leader. I had no clue what I was doing, so I just wrote hovercraft and I became the leader, and I had no idea what was going on. After that, I got assigned a team with Balash, who is not Singaporean, Jerome, who's not Singaporean, Sishon, who was Singaporean, and Ram, who's Singaporean. So we had a very nice mix of people. And the thing with Maker Fair and the project, which was 3 months long, was the project was not terribly difficult, but it was the relationships that we built together. For example, I took Balas to an Indian restaurant and he loved it. He could not go anywhere else over the weekends. And I kept meeting Jerome afterwards. This is at another event where he came and then he hung around for about 1 hour, even though he was probably pretty bored. So going back to the point, a maker doesn't exist. Simply. It's the maker community that matters. A maker alone does not do anything. I can go out there and make something, but without the community, I won't do anything. So what comes to your mind when you think about a maker? Is it this guy, or is it these people? Thank you.
We probably have time for one question. Does anyone have a question?
What's the one thing you're making that makes you feel proud and whole?
I think it would be the hovercraft project, because back then I was 13 years old and I was leading a team of people who were in their 20s. So it was quite interesting to see how I could be the team lead. At the same time, they were way more experienced than me and they knew a lot more about whatever we were doing. So that was a very interesting thing to see, and I'm quite proud of the way everything went.
Yeah. What's the most boring part of this entire journey?
Everything was pretty fun because everything is a learning experience and you cannot know too much while you're making things.
You got a chance to make something again better or make something new, what would you do?
I guess I would do the insect robot again. Yeah, I would definitely do this again. It's still sitting at my house without the legs, without the sensor, without the board, and in pieces basically. So I would definitely do this again.
Thank you so much.
My name is Navyansh Malhotra, and I'm a 14-year-old maker with a keen interest in electronics, especially connected technologies. My interest started with tinkering RC cars and using basic motors for planes that then led me into more advanced circuitry in electronics. I bought my first Arduino board around 3 years ago, and ever since have used many sensors. I explored different platforms, starting with the Lego NXT, that then led me to the Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and other prototyping boards such as the Espresso. I enjoy tinkering with different combinations of modules and components to create product concepts and prototypes. A few of the projects I recently developed included IoT weather station and a distance measure using ultrasonic. I also developed a smart fan, which I presented at IDE 2016. My team won a gold medal for that. That project taught me a lot about the IoT capabilities possible using the Arduino board. For the Singapore Maker Fair 2016, I developed a smart mobile control switch. It was an honor to have Minister of Smart Nation, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, and Dr. Yaqub Ibrahim, Minister of Infocom, visit my booth. Further to that, I developed a smarter, safer GPS HUD, for which I'll speak more about in the next few minutes. Have you ever been in a situation in which you're too lazy to get up to switch on or off a switch, be it the lights, coffee machine, hot water, or anything? An easy solution to this is using the smart switch I developed. It's an easy retrofit to install over any currently existing switch, without tampering with any of the internal wiring. I used a servo motor for the physical changing of state. You have to connect the device through Bluetooth with your handphone, and using the Android app I developed, you can select the mode, timer-based or force start, also known as spot start. If you're near the switch and want to turn it on or off, there's a manual override button that you can press. Currently, you can only use the switch in a relatively close radius. Although with the Wi-Fi capabilities that it holds, it means you can control it from anywhere as long as you have internet. This could be possible by sending information over an IP address. For this project, I used an Arduino as it's extremely versatile and flexible while still holding the prototyping capabilities. As I wanted to make this size as compact as possible, I used the Arduino Nano. This conceptual picture shows how the device works on a standard flat surface flick switch. The Bluetooth module that I used was the HC05 that has a radius of around 30 foot. This is a brief explanation on how the mobile control switch works. Another problem, which I'm sure a lot of you face while driving, is an unclear side view mirror due to rain. I've come up with a product concept that solves your problem: the side view mirror wiper. As pictorically illustrated on the board, you can see its result. The red arrow points to a 9G servo motor connected to a specially sized wiper. While it's not only irritating, it's also highly dangerous to drive with unclear mirrors. And in the lovely rainy weather of our country, this is nearly a daily basis scenario. The device is attached with a rain sensor. When rain comes in contact with the conductive plates, the circuit is closed. At that point, the wiper switches on, providing your car engine is on. It also has a hardwired push button. As there's no wiper that fit my requirements, I had to buy a standard car wiper and cut it and make a few new parts so that it would fit. It's a simple retrofit for cars. This unit is also prototyped on an Arduino. Did you know that distractions, largely due to mobile phones, are the #1 cause of traffic casualties in Singapore? Therefore, from February 2017, texting while driving has been made illegal. And currently it's also illegal to hold any kind of mobile device behind the wheel. If you're driving at over 60 kmph, Just to look at the speedometer, you're driving blind for 15 meters. If a vehicle comes in front of you suddenly, whilst you're looking down to the speed, or to the side at your phone for GPS information, even for a very brief moment, increases the possibility of an accident tremendously. To change this and avert these accidents, I developed the smarter, safer GPS HUD. My project combines a GPS map, your speed, the speed limit of the road that you're driving on, and telematics. Most importantly, as the HUD, heads-up display. It's in the line of sight of the driver at all times. It's also focused at infinity. All this without the need of any phone connectivity. The interface is simple, with only the most necessary elements displayed. It visually alarms you when you're approaching the speed limit. My device also gives the possibility of having information which can be used by the LTA and insurance companies in case of accidents with the data logging feature. I used the Raspberry Pi 3 for this project as it has much more computational memory and also much easier to develop a UX interface for. One of the sensors I used was an OBD. It collects the car's key, engine and running data. I created a Python script to combine all the data to achieve the most accuracy. I also used the Neo 6M GPS module. I believe that my device can save lives while making your drive safer and more futuristic. Wouldn't it be easier to have a single remote to control all your home appliances? There's a solution. I developed Wear Remote, the generic gyroscopic wearable remote. It recognizes gestures and controls the selected device. You can select your device using a push button and see which device you're controlling you can see which device you're controlling with the OLED display inbuilt. The device is currently a finger sleeve. You can flick up to increase TV volume, or if you select the AC, your flick up will increase the temperature. My device not only adds convenience, but also takes you to the next gen of technology. For the past few months, this has become from an idea to a reality. The journey started with an Arduino Uno and a breadboard. I then moved on to a bare chip, first burning the bootloader. Now that might not seem much to you at all, but it taught me a lot about exactly how to write code to understand code. As a 328P AU is a TQFP chip, to prototype with it I used an expand board. I attached the expand board to a breadboard and attached the necessary components such as crystal, capacitors and a couple of resistors. I then added the module for the gyro as well as the OLED display. What took me the most time is comprehending raw data from the gyroscope. The top right graph is a graph that I made with the top left graph is a graph that I made with the raw data and from the serial COM input, and the bottom left graph is a timescale graph that I made with the average data using an algorithm that I thought was rather complicated. By now, I had all my logic uploaded on my MCU on a breadboard, while the size was quite big. I knew it could easily be brought down, as I was currently using THC's through-hole components. I then went on to designing PCB, a first-time experience for me. I started by adding all my components on Eagle. That itself took me a day. Then another 2 days for making the PCB as small as possible, but still leaving gaps between the components so that I could hand solder them. That's right, hand solder SMD components. I was fortunate enough to get help from XPC, which is an experience center set up by HomeFix. Over there, I had my single layer PCB etched. The current size was much bigger than a single finger. This was due to the fact that it was a single layer PCB and I had left rather big gaps. Even though that Even though the PCB was not a viable design to use on a finger, it taught me a lot about the entire experience. My prototype version 4 that I just completed yesterday for the Make Effect fits on a single finger while having all the features. The version 4 uses standard modules with some minor customizations, so I went back to basic modules. Please come to my booth this weekend at the Make Effect and try my device out. In the next stage of PCB, I hope to explore multi-layer PCBs as well as computerized PMP machines. A learning from my journey I would like to share is that along the way, I faced many challenges. However, I believe my determination to overcome these was a key element on completing my projects. And that sometimes failing is a good learning. As a young maker, my motive runs parallel to Abraham Lincoln's words: the best way to predict the future is to invent it yourself. Thanks to all our supporters here today. Technology is even more accessible, affordable, and available, so young makers can contribute in the move to being a smart nation. Thank you, and hope to see you at the Make Effect 2017. Happy writing.
Thank you. Okay. Actually, when the previous three presenter was presenting, I was wondering why I'm here, because it's all the science and techie stuff. But I realized that architecture and engineering is pretty much connected in every way. I believe in even computer chips, there are architecture behind it. So what I'm going to share with you guys about today is a lot to do with about not just the technical aspect, but all pedagogical, but more of a process and a dream that I want to help kids to learn a bit more about design and architecture. Okay, so before I start, I just want to show you guys a video about what we're doing, so that at least you guys can get a better picture. Okay? As architects through this CSR initiative. And just nice today as we are doing this work, we can see how children, parents, architects work hand in hand together in a completely new way. They actually learn about history, learn about how library and urban environment mix together, and why things are the way they are, and even get a chance to tour around the library space.
Today they learn about the finishes and the materials, why we need carpet that will make noise in the library, or why we have acoustic ceilings. At the beginning they were a little bit scared because they found it very difficult, but just by making them like to see it in an easy way and to not to stress and to take it easy, then they started enjoying it, and in fact I think they enjoyed it a lot, they like it, yeah.
Introduce them the kind of the basics, what kind of floor, different kind of function, different kind of material, especially the floor tiles. They realized. I said they didn't know this about that. It's a good thing you're introducing architecture to kids.
I've always tried to explain things to my son to give him an appreciation of what different art forms are. And I think today, right, by doing this modeling, I think we've gotten a very good idea. I think especially for him as well.
Meeting different kids, working with each other as a team to go through the library to accomplish the different tasks, and also making the models as well. even for some of the facilitators from NAFA, I thought it was good for them to have the experience of sort of mentoring the children, having some leadership roles to work with the kids and guide them, as well as for us and ourselves to work with both the students from NAFA and the children and parents.
Alright, that's ArKIDecture. Yes, hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I realized that I had Irani, who actually run the project with me at National Library here today. So it's actually really great to actually share this process, because this journey is pretty large, because we're still trying to figure out how this whole context sits in children's learning. So when I started this process as an architect by training, and while I was still working as an architect, it was pretty hard, because I can't manage the time doing projects and also at the same time teaching. So something changed along the way that allows me to have more time. So later I'll get to why I can do this work and how this process brings teams and bring people together. And really our hope is really just to want kids to connect themselves with learning and be curious about the environment around them, so that eventually they can be responsible users and designers. Whether they are makers or not, well, it's something they can take it on their own. And of course, in the process for us, we really hope that we can actually link kids and parents to work with architects and architecture students to learn more about design through mentorship and design facilitation. So that's actually what we've been doing, bringing architects and students together to make this process of empowering children to dream and be creative. Well, after all, a maker is all about being able to make, because that's what we are as humans. Because making is part of who we are, and when we share and we learn, that's how we grow. But how and why do I pursue this journey? Well, I have to go back a little bit further than my architecture journey and also my career. Oh, it started off when I was questioning after my JC. So this K to 12 from kindergarten to JC, wondering, okay, what do you want to be in the future? So I thought, okay, I like art, I like to draw, I like science, maybe I'll choose architecture. Okay, so I was very happy when I got into NUS architecture about 10 years ago. But shortly I got into the school, I realized this huge gap between where I was and where I was in the studio. There's a big mental gap, not just in the skills, but in the mental capacity of learning. I realized that I was not able to capture this multi-dimensional, interdisciplinary subject such as architecture. So many things was thrown to us, and suddenly, from the very linear mind that we've been trained to do exams, and we are forced to absorb philosophy, design, and architecture, I was like, wow, this is really difficult. And so I had this question in my mind. I say, okay, what if we can actually bring this process of teaching architecture and design to kids? So why not? Why don't they have to struggle only when they're in the tertiary education? So what if we bring this process and this gap, and as we introduce design thinking and experience learning when they're still kids, and hopefully we can reduce this gap between whatever they're learning in school from K to 12, and eventually when they move on to university, they can become engineers, designers, architects, but they have perspective of what they are going to learn and create. But however, for me, I wasn't so idealistic at the moment. I was still caught up with pursuing my degree at the same time. So I finished my thesis after 5 years, okay, I said, all right, like any other thesis student, I will probably join the industry. So for the next 3 years, I joined SA Architects to be an architect over a couple of public projects like Singapore Primary School or Changi Terminal 4. So at that point of time, the question of how to teach kids just fade away. But I still think that it was a good learning experience. But however, something shifted in the midst of my career in the process. Guess what? Quite hard to guess. I think it's not definitely that time. Actually, national service. Because I'm from Taiwan. I came to Singapore when I was 20 years ago. So I had national service obligation. So when I was 28 years old, suddenly the conscription letter came and says, sorry, you have to come back, you have to serve NS. I have to leave my work, I have to leave my community in Singapore, and even my fiancée, who's my wife right now. So it was really difficult because I have to say goodbye to everything that I knew, and that I know of in Singapore. So I go back to Taiwan, where my route is, and that's when it's kind of like a mid-term crisis. That I'm wondering what do I do forward, after serving the army. So at that point in time, I found a journal, because I like to keep journals, and I found a journal a few years back. I actually wrote something about architecture and kids. I said, hey, remember in university days, I used to think about design thinking and for kids? Hey, this is the time. If I have any time in my life to do something for the kids, it's now. I mean, why wait until I'm 50 years old to do something for the kids? So I decided to draft the journal out of this into a poster. I said, okay, this will be my first pitching. My pitching is not going to be a deck of slides. My pitching is going to be just 2 sheets of paper. One about what I'm going to do, the other one about the curriculum I'm going to teach the kids. But who am I going to teach, right? Like, who am I kidding? Who knows about architecture and design? So I went to after-school care just behind my house in Taipei. So I went in and I told the principal I want to teach them architecture. So I thought she would think I'm crazy, but you know what? She was crazy enough to say yes, to allow me to work with the kids. So they gave me 5 days, 5 afternoons to work with the kids, and we had a great time. Just learning about scale, learning about geometry, learning about science and architecture and design. It was a really fun process. And even in my mom's clinic, I hold another workshop with kids, just with the community. So I thought, okay, look, since I'm back here for NS, I need to go to NS, right? It's not for more workshops. But at the point of time, I thought, okay, I have to shove this idea for a while. But something turned again. I had a lot of ups and downs. So this time, it's a good news. I got exempted. Just about 100 days after I returning for national service, they told me, hey son, because of a sports injury, we're going to exempt you. I was like, what? Okay, for me, it's by the grace of God, really? Seriously. So freedom. I mean, you like freedom, right? Anyone don't like freedom? I mean, I love freedom, okay? But, freedom without direction is definitely more scary than we don't have freedom, okay? So I thought to myself, okay, now what? With the time I have, do I go back to Singapore to continue my project as a project architect? Or do I take this chance to do something with what I can do for the kids? Yeah, so I remember and I recall this spark and joy when I was doing that first workshop with the after-school care. So I decided to say, okay, look, I'm going to draw some inspiration from whatever that's happening here. This is not coincidence. And I believe that an architect can contribute to this society beyond just building buildings and physical structures. We can build kids' mind. We can inspire children to think about the built environment around them. So with that in mind, I say, okay, I really asked myself this question: how can I make use of the training I have in school as an architect to work with kids and value add to society? And it's really with that question, then the door can open. Because if not, I would be trapped in my own misconception and understanding. So I began my journey. So again, this journey was really I'm not just telling just good stories, but of course there are challenges as well. Of course, now with an idea, how do you take this idea into reality? You need fundings, you need investors who believe in this idea, but such idea may seem lofty and it may seem like, there's many alternatives. Why architecture? It's so complicated. So I thought about sustainability at a point of time because it has to be. If architecture were to make an impact in the long run, it has to make financial sustainability and also sustainability in business model. So from there on, I went to speak to my ex-boss in SA Architect, he's an MD. So he asked me, so do you want to come back? I said, no. I said, I have a dream. And I want to share with you today. My dream is to introduce architecture to kids when they're younger. So you know what, since November 2015, about 20 months ago, we've been partnering with SA Architects and we'll be using a platform known as Corporate Social Responsibility. We use it as a CSR to incubate this idea so that we can bring architecture to kids. Because we thought, how do we do that? And with that the support, I get to build a team and build with people that believes in this idea. So over the last 20 months, we work with almost about 15 over different organizations from private to public sectors, and even like just the National Library that you saw. And we will conduct over 120 over different kind of workshops, small from playgroups all the way to public event. And we work with 900 over kids and youth. Of course, this is not possible just by myself. I actually had, I was very happy to have 70 over of these architects and architecture students from NUS, SUTD, NAFA, and of course SA Architects through their CSR. So it's really amazing to see how everything just coming together, not because of me, but because the community also believes that, yes, people need to know about architecture. We stay in these architecture spaces every day. How can we know so little about what we use? So therefore, with this belief, I asked myself this one question. And this is how we create a framework to work with kids. How do we make kids relate to architecture as it is, without being too technical and with all the technical jargon? So I'm going to show you a 1 minute video, and that will kind of sums up this framework. Okay? So just give me a second. Yes, that's right. So in order to help people, kids or parents who relate to this word architecture, this is a long word, not everyone can even pronounce. If you were to ask a 5-year-old wild kid, he doesn't know how to pronounce. So I say, okay, look, since this was so long, how about let me just take it apart, deconstruct it into something maybe more relatable to them. So we go at A, we say, no, definitely there's artistic element with the architecture. There's definitely creativity in how everything is put together. Definitely there's history. You look at historic buildings all around us, and technology, how things comes together, be it material or even idea. And finally, of course, nature. Because all architecture frameworks lies within this big natural environment. So with this framework, this is how we've been executing our programs to the different partners that we work with. Be it preschoolers or after school camps with BWOs. And we always want us to be creative in a way we want kids to learn about design, not just in the technical way of architecture. We're not asking them to draw technical drawings of design, but introduce things like sections by getting them to cut oranges themselves and draw things and imagine. Or even introduce things like how do you draw orthographics and elevations and sections and plans. And we even had a series on how do you draw the processes. So we film how balloons or springs move in slow speed camera and then see how things move. And eventually they have to concise them in simple tree drawings to demonstrate how the balloons move. So how kids should actually draw like how the balloons move and eventually to the end. Yeah, so we even have creative workshops that work with primary schools and to then look at urban plans. Like this is typical site models that an architecture student would do. But this time around, we want to introduce this creative lens for them to imagine how it could be. So they actually reimagine how these houses can eventually become candies and sweets. Yeah, so it's pretty funny and interesting. And of course, through history, we also bring them to visit buildings around their schools, and so that they can actually interact with the buildings themselves. And recently, we actually worked with URA to introduce architecture and steel houses concept to kids and families. And we also even bring some of the parents to Pulau Ubin to actually see these houses themselves. Because, you can teach it in the classroom, but it's best actually teaching on site. And for the technology component, we also even introduce like laser cutting and fabrication process to some of the older kids. We even fabricate this theme called the Blueprints of Star Wars for kids to make spaceships and designs that are fabricated by laser machines. And eventually they together with their dads, these dads are all Star Wars fans, so they're actually even more excited than the kids themselves. Yeah. So it was a really fun process. We even had one workshop building buildings. After that, they thought that's it. But this building actually glows and light up with the LEDs they install in the buildings. And we even test structural integrity, not by earthquake, but we use a drone to actually tear down a building. Let's just see how this drone tears down this building in the next 10 seconds. And all the kids are looking at the model. Man, my model! No, not my model! But as the hovercraft goes over the building, so that really failed. Yeah. So, I mean, we also try different ways to work with high school kids to introduce science and technology within STEM. So we call it STEAM camp. So we introduce things like hydraulic systems, to let them try to make things hands-on. And so they use very, very rudimentary materials and even made into the robotic arms just by using string and pipes. So actually this Saturday Spaghetti Fair will show an improvised version of how that came about to this much better prototype that our NUS students has made. Yeah, and of course lastly, natural projects that we use natural materials to bring kids outdoor and to collect materials. Eventually they're going to build buildings that is inspired by animals. So how cool is that? And of course this process of trying to figure out these 5 different frameworks of architecture, and consolidate into something that people can understand is not easy. And we're still in the process of figuring out. And this journey doesn't stop here, it's continuous. But I'm just thrilled to be doing what I'm doing and having a great team supporting this journey. Because we believe when we start doing work like this, you really have to start with our mind, to dream big, to start small and go deep. So that's architecture for you. And I just want to leave one last statement that's to show all of you what architecture embraces and what we're about, which is to guide kids to building dreams and sparking creativity. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I'm William from IT College West. Pardon me on my very sexy voice. We are very privileged to have a makerspace, very first makerspace in IT College West. It's called eSpace. You want to know why it's eSpace? Think of French, okay? And ask my ex-CEO. Okay, I'm going to talk about making Generation Z. Who is making Generation Z? Basically, anyone that is born after 95. How many of you are born after 1995? Please raise your hand. The Koreans are yes, my Korean friends are definitely yes. Okay, sir, you're definitely wrong. Okay, and we know they are digital natives. When I enter the classroom, first thing they are in is K-drama, K-pop, K-games, Korean games, any of that. And I said, class, please listen to me. Just wait. The only time you listen to me is when I say class break. Whoa! Right? They are digital natives and they love entertainment, they love everything that is on YouTube. And next thing they are speed demon. Right? We have to move faster than them. So this is a big struggle we face personally in my class. So is this the Gen Z attitude to Industry 4.0? And that is what our mission in IT we need to do. To train skilled students for the industry. And we tell them, okay, boys and girls, we're going to teach about IoT. What is IoT? What is Industry 4.0? Can eat one, no? Okay, so this is a big culture. So this picture by Michelangelo may have really exemplified what is their attitude to Industry 4.0. So now I'm going to share with you our sweet sauce. Let us watch a short video clip. Lower down the lights for the special effects. Yes, I love that. Let's watch this video clip. imagine what happened in our makerspace in ITE. We have lightsaber duels, right? So let us share with you our sweet sauce. Our sweet sauce is basically the maker projects, right? That will inspire them, because what we do is we bring Industry 4.0 to them through the projects, the makers projects that we create for them. And just now you have seen the video of our lightsaber, and it's good to be 5 years old again, right? And I would love to dream, I'm definitely not 5 years old. I would love to be 5 years old. And let us see the video for the lightsaber. And basically, in this lightsaber, you can learn Fusion 360, App Inventor, Power. I think this is the probably the only lightsaber that's powered by Intel Curie. Intel inside. Intel must be very happy. Thank you. Okay, let me do a demo here. Are you watching a video? Hopefully it works. It works. And how many of you love the dark side? You're on the dark side. How many want to be a Luke Skywalker now? You can change on the fly. What's up, Yoda? I'm Yoda now. Well, probably this is the first lightsaber in the world that is powered by Intel and also has a smartphone control. You don't need the Force. Who needs the Force when you have a smartphone? Yoda is going to kill me for it. Well, besides Yoda, of course, Jedi, Star Wars, I'm a Star Wars fan. Okay, I love Star Wars. I know there's some Star Wars fans here. Yes, we are selling this. And you can learn everything that is built here, 3D printing, PCB making, programming, just contact us. I'm going to start a Jedi school. Hey, but Star Wars is going to have Last Jedi. Oops. Well, of course, the next one is Thor. We love Thor, we love Marvel. So last year in Maker Fair, we did our Thor hammer, and let us remind ourselves of our last year Maker Fair. This Thor hammer practically was destroyed at the end of the last year Maker Fair, because I managed to con a lot of kids to be good boys and girls because they are not worthy enough to pick up the Thor hammer. So a lot of parents are very happy with us. So anyway, this year we're going to have a Thor hammer again, and this Thor hammer is powered by ArKIDecture M0, and yes, we can put Intel Edison inside. Alright, this is something that we draw both, and students can learn a lot about 3D printing, lipophane, the technology, and of course we use a safer electromagnet. In fact, it's a door magnet, okay, as compared to the YouTube version. We have lightning and sound built in. Of course, for those who do not love action, no action drama like Star Wars or Marvel Universe or DC Universe, we have something for the ladies. They sure love this. Beauty and the Beast. Right, now show this. Those who have girlfriends and those who have very angry wives, please take note of this project. Oh, so sweet. It's smartphone control. Enchanted Rose in the world that is powered by Intel. So those who want to buy this for your wife or angry wives or girlfriends, or you want to propose to your girlfriend, please contact us. We'll give you a special price. Right?
With the Curie?
Yes, with the Curie. Okay. Next project, you can see this in our booth. How many of you played this before? Raise your hand. Oh, great, great. Girls, you play? Wow. Okay, and then we have the Koreans playing. Because this is the only anime I realized that kids keep on buying blades, buying and buying and buying. I was thinking we should make them make their own blades. So this is what we did. And this Beyblade we learned from the Japanese. It's headphone control. The Japanese is the first one who came out with a remote control Beyblade with a motor built-in. We learned from them and we built our own version. And yes, students can learn the 3D printing of their own Beyblade. And yes, it's powered by Intel, another world first again. Yes, it's smartphone control. So we have managed to, you can imagine, this video is taken by our students. So you can imagine they have captured their attention, say that yes, I want to build it and bring it home. Parents, any parents want to buy it for the gift, I'll charge you premium. You come to Maker Fair, I give you a big discount. Next, of course, I love to watch Pixar. How many of you have watched this? Wow, great movie, right? It's the first time I never realized that anime, Pixar movies can be so wonderful. Okay, I never expect anything from this movie, but after watching it, I nearly want to cry. So after watching it, I look at the balloons. What should we do with the balloons? So this is what we did. We fly them. And this is a very frightening moment of my life. That my students say something wrong to DM. My head will roll. This is another fearful moment of my life. Because if any of these drones drop on the VIP's head, my head will roll too. And yes, if it drop on anybody's head, please blame it on Intel. It's Intel power. If not, can blame anyone. Now you can see the happy faces and our students, their wonderful time. And this is the picture that we're waiting for. And this is the extra bonus. I was talking to my student, how come my face is not there and his face is there? And his reply is, because my face is more handsome than you. This is how sad. So through this makers project, this is how we get them making and getting interested. And this is actually the skills that we want to inculcate them. And please do come and visit our school. This is our campus. We have a fine dining restaurant. We have a French fine dining restaurant opened by students, trained. You invite me for dinner or lunch, I give you special discount, staff discount. Okay? Please do come. We have our best hotel in the West currently. There's only two. Right, Resort World and us. So we are best, correct? Our Korean guests staying at our good hotel? Yes. Sure, good? Good. Let's say best hotel. So please do come. And this is the skills that actually we train our students. this is the old version. The new version is come with color, and you can play Pac-Man with it. Please visit our booth. I will charge you minimum fee to pay. Anyway, it's free. Come and play the Pac-Man Game Plus that we call it, right? And we can't do this without our partners, all right? Bring Industry 4.0 to our young makers, right? We have very good partners, Intel. Must give credits to Intel, and Autodesk, Harco, even Science Centers, Steppin, Animal 14, Singapore National Co-op from Federation, LPKF, Novaton, HomeFix, XPC. These are our very partners that actually make all this happen, that really inspire our students. So they are coming to the end of my slides. Definitely, ending of slides, all of us do end with wise words. So I was thinking, what wise words should I choose? Being a Star Wars fan, I decided to choose him. No. Never.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes, there is no try. So, very good. So, let's go inspire Generation Z together and make a fest Singapore. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you very much the Science Center, Liang and Karthikey and her team for organizing this conference and for having the MacGillivray again here in Singapore. So today I will talk about an open source AI, artificial intelligence, that can be deployed as a smart learning management system in education sector. Let's start. So very briefly about our organization. So my partner and I started Force Asia in 2009. And what do we actually do? So we connect inspiring communities all over the world to develop open source technology to make the future better. So it sounds like but exactly inside, what do we do? Move on, please. Okay, so we develop open source technologies, open source software and hardware. What does that mean by open source software? Does anyone here doesn't know, doesn't have an idea what is open source?
Free.
So everyone knows open source. I don't need to explain further. Give me one example of open source that you know. Firefox. Wikipedia is an open source. So anyone doesn't know Wikipedia? Do you think Wikipedia is one of the best dictionary in the world? No? Okay, so this is an example of open source. That's something, so with open source you can make a very cool project by the efforts of the community. So, and similar to Mozilla or Wikimedia Foundation, we also develop open source software. And beside it, we, not yet, some of the technical issue because I also normally don't use Windows. Back to yeah. So we develop software just like a normal software company, but all of our source code can be found on GitHub. And what else do we do? Besides develop the technology, we also train and teach people from a 12-year-old kid until university level, until adults, working adults, on how to use open source, how to work with open source, and finally, how to develop software based on open source technology. And some of the pictures that we see, that you see here. So within our network, we connect with different communities across Asia. So we can see picture from India, picture from Vietnam, picture from Malaysia. So we work with different open source community, and we give training and workshop at university and through online program. So we also one of mentoring organization of Google Summer Code, if you heard about it. And every year, each month, we put together with the Science Center, actually, we co-organize the biggest open source event in Asia called Phuc Asia Summit. It's going to be in Singapore again next year in March. Okay, and here, so I just want to share a few facts briefly. So we have at the moment over 20,000 developers in our Phuc Asia network, and if everyone's familiar with GitHub, we have over 1,400 active contributors and 1,000 plus code comments made every month to the different repository of Phuc Asia. Namely, a few software that we've been working on. First of all, the Open Event Management System, which is a system that allows organizers to run any conference, performance, or workshop, and you can find a software on eventyear.com. Another thing that we developed is similar to Google, but open source. We have our own search engine that called Sears. So what we can do with Sears, if you have internal data in your organization or in company, you can deploy the search engine for your data. So you cannot do this with Google, but with our system, you can do that. And the next open hardware project is the Pocket Science Lab. Okay, so I cannot move because I don't want to. So what is Pocket Science Lab? This is an open hardware that can be used as a silicon that helps a teacher to teach science subjects like physics or chemistry, and that can be found on our website. I'm not going to click there. I don't have so much time, but we can go over later. And some other software that we do, we develop also our own OS, Linux distribution, and application for Android. People also mentioned some of the programs that we run for the student and for private sector. So we do a lot of activities and projects. And so what is the problem at the moment? So the community continue to grow. How can we train everyone, and how can we provide opportunities to everyone? So we don't have enough human resources to be able to provide training to everyone. And Asia is so big. It's like the biggest continent in the world. So what do we do? 2 years ago, we come up with a solution. Okay, so next slide, please. We believe that with technology, you can solve this problem. So 2 years ago, we developed something called Suzy AI, which is an open source artificial intelligence that can act as a learning and training personal assistant that help you to teach newcomer technology and developers to get into the open source field. And over 2 years, we go a lot, and now we have quite a stable project, and we believe that it links very well into the education sector. So what is the link? So what is the problem that you are facing now here in Singapore when you talk about education and training? Move on, please.
Not enough facilitators who have the knowledge and experience to teach kids.
I would say arms race. Because there are too many tuition centers going around.
Okay. May I go to the next slide, please? Okay. So, of course, there are a lot of problems, but I will pick out the problem that's relevant for this talk. So, we've been speaking with a lot of institutions, educators, and one of the issues that they bring up to us is manpower. So, manpower, people are very expensive in Singapore. Hiring people is expensive, training people is expensive, and less people want to become educators. That is the first challenge. The secondly is the number of students. Like I listen to all the institutions here, they have a very high expectation. I mean, the administration to the school also very rough for the student. But the population of Singapore is not growing. You know, at one point, you will not have enough students to select from. You cannot just choose all the best students to go to take in your school. So now you have to think, so if you get in the quick student, how how can you make the quickest student to be as good as your top student? So how do we do that? Okay, solution. So let's talk about solution. Okay, so here we propose two solutions for you to tackle this issue. So the problem of lacking manpower and how to train the student in the most effective way. The first solution is using AI to power learning management system. And what do I mean by that? Next please. Okay, Suzy AI. This is the website. You can go on the website and find out like what Suzy AI can do, but how can it implement into education and training. Suzy at the moment can help you to act as a virtual instructor, to be the person who deliver training, learning material. Because they solve the problem of lacking manpower. So you don't have all the teachers and it's too expensive. Suzy can help you to do this job, to deliver learning material to your student. And the second thing is customize training delivery to adaptive pedagogy. So what do I mean by that? When you go into classroom, if you are a teacher, so there's about 100 students in your classroom. How can you make sure that all the students stay on the same page? And how can you make sure that everyone understands the lesson plan? Will you be able to query this question? And by using Suzy, it actually works with students individually. It engages students every day. So Suzy actually have the understanding what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of students, and later on come up with a method or different learning path for the student, so that everyone stay on the same level and be competent before moving on to the next lesson. Does it make sense? Okay, and the third advantage of applying Suzy is to automate the training content. How can we do that? So this can be done by perform a big data analysis on the test result of the student. So after the student take the test, the result come in, and how can you measure does your curriculum or your lesson plan in the beginning have any impact on the performance of the student throughout the test? So if you want to do it like human, you have to take out every single paper and match with your original curriculum. Suzy can help you do that by perform a data and analysis on the test result. So these are the three key advantages to apply an artificial intelligence and a smart LMS, for example. Next slide, please. And this is architecture diagram, how the knowledge built behind Suzy and how the information flow of an AI. I'm not going to now explain the technical stuff, but we can see it afterwards. So, okay, and this is our current version of Suzy. So they've been developed over 2 years already. At the moment, we have an application on mobile. We have a web application, and that it can do like many different things. So it works on your smartphone, and it can be customized for any devices. And okay, so let's bring an example for the Science Center. So how can the Science Center use Suzy? Visitor come to the Science Center and wonder, okay, so my interest is making robot. So what is the point, where is the location that I should visit? So by feeding the data that you have internally in the Science Center, Suzy will be able to help you to guide your visitor of different locations and what fits his desired knowledge base. Okay, and the same thing applies for school. And if you have already inside your school a learning management system and you want to train the student and work through different lesson plan, you can deploy SUSE to do that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, by using SUSE, it interacts directly with your student, so it understands where the student needs to review and where the student needs to practice more, and also analyze the test result. Okay, so yes. Okay, and the second solution that I want to mention here is industry-driven instructor system design. What do I mean by that? Okay. You don't have enough time anymore. Okay, so sure, very quickly. So how many of you here very confident that after your student graduates, he will be so competent in the workplace? And how many students believe that, okay, after I graduate from NUS, I will be the best worker, anyone would come and hire me? Okay, technology changing so fast. So as Shin here mentioned, whenever you hire people, you look at GitHub. Google, just like you, come up with TensorFlow, and Microsoft Archive or Docker, so different, and people come up inventing new programming language every day. How can you make sure that you have the student in the same level in demand of the market? Okay, the industry, we have the director of Intel here. Will he wait for 10 years for you to change the teacher, and then the teacher go back and train the student? It's not going to happen. Okay, so how to solve the problems at Force Asia? We constantly plug in with the industry leaders and also the open source community where all the crazy ideas coming from. And we develop our technology landscape based on the future direction. So, and we're happy to share with you. So what are the demands, what are the technology demands in right now? And also, after we define the technology landscape, we also deliver training throughout our program and contest that you and your student can participate if you are interested, of course. And okay, so what next? Okay, so it's really briefly about AI and what we do. So what are the next steps? So what do we do after the talk? So first of all, we need to understand that open source is really important in order to get your student into the right direction, so that they suitable for the work the marketplace in the future. Engage them into the open source community. Next please. Okay, so encourage students to learn open source and participate in different open source projects or to Force Asia project on GitHub, and sign up our education partners. So we have developers, we have industry experts to giving training at different school and help your students to learn different technology. And in August, we run our worldwide coding contest called CodeHit. Last year, we have about 1,000 students from all over the world participate in the contest, and we happen again this year in August. And we also run workshops, so we have a booth here at the Maker Fair and show students how to write skill. So the AI that I mentioned to you, not only that you can use, but actually you can develop and you can make your own AI. And it can be done within like 3 hours if you like really concentrate. And the next step is, if anyone here interested to deploy SUSE in their organization or in the school and try out how it connects with FMS tool, please come to me, and we will be very happy to help you to do so. That's it.
Hi everyone. My name is Hari. I'm from Intel. You're not here to listen to my journey, thank God for you guys. You must be retired. So I'm here. I've got the privilege here today to kind of present to you 5 really innovative students.
6 here.
Oh, sorry, is it 6? So yeah, we've got 6 very innovative students and young makers to present to you. The one thing that kind of glues all of these kids together is a program that Intel runs, and it's a global initiative called the Intel Innovation Generation. And this is a program that catalyzes our partners and our ecosystem, brings them together. So we've got great ecosystem partners right here. We've got, of course, William. Is William still here? Ah, he's out. And we've also got John Kim from Korea. And John has got a bunch of kids from Korea with him. Can you guys kind of give us a wave? So, you know, it's fantastic to kind of bring all of these kids together. But I'm not going to waste too much time. I've got to rush a little bit. I've got to catch a flight at 8. So I'm going to start introducing you to some of the young makers. Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to Wooey. Yes, Wooey is from Korea. Hey, is Alice around?
Alice here.
Oh, hey, Alice is going to help us with some of the translation. So yeah, Alice is also a young maker. And now we've also got Thea with us. Thea is from Indonesia. Thea got on a flight today and left Indonesia for the first time, and she's here. So I think she does a huge And then we've got our Singaporean contingent. We've got Sidarshan. Can you give us a wave, Sidarshan? And from Nanyang Poly, we've got Owen and Chris. So I'm going to try and keep this really informal and let the kids do the talking. And I was trying to figure out how to do this, so I decided to do it from north down to south. So we're going to start off with Wooey. Let me just get your slide deck running. Alice, do you want to help with the translation if we need to? Okay, right. All right, so Wooey, I just wondered if you could maybe just give us a little bit of background of yourself. If you'd like to just give us a little bit of an overview of your projects and stuff. Yes. No. Yes. Would you like the room to pass this to you?
If you want me to pass them.
No problem.
Carry on.
Hello, I'm Wooey Kim. I'm 18 years old and I'm Yeongdeungpo High School student in Korea. Next. This is a picture of our school innovation lab. Students get education here to making activities and make many creative inventions. Likewise, my school is specialized in technology and making activities. Among many activities in Innovation Lab, Makeathon is the main. In short period of time, students come out with brilliant ideas and create inventions with the skill taught by my teacher, Ju-hyun Kim, and good support from Intel Korea. Students participate in a Makeathon. The topic was first, wearable, and second, solve a problem of our neighborhood. These 6 inventions were presented in Makeathon. Sign language translator was the one that I was most impressive. And actually won the first prize. If a person with hearing disability wear a glove and do sign language, it translates to voice. This invention was meaningful in that it makes a communication between the disabled and non-disabled much more easier. I also participated in this Makeathon. The name of my invention is fall detecting sleeper. I use Intel Q Nano. If elderly or patient fall, this sleeper let doctors or nurse in hospital know that they fall. The significance of my invention is that doctors and nurses can make faster response in emergency situation. Next. Last is our school program in Gyeongwon School. Gyeongwon School is a school for the disabled, different from our making before. This was a social contribution project through making activities. most of the students who have this ability don't get enough exercise. We made this special stair for those students. If someone steps on this stair, it makes a sound like a piano. We have disabled students to exercise with a lot of fun with music. I learned a lot from this activity. It was very impressive that I started because of just fun, but actually worked as a social contribution. Also, from my own perspective, this was the most powerful advantage of making. Thanks to Intel support and Julian teachers teaching, my life changed entirely. Now I'm just normal student, but in the future, I want to become a technical educator like my teacher and share my experience, knowledge, feeling to students, and finally make our world better, their new inventions. Thank you.
Okay, the next young maker we want to introduce is first Singaporean candidate, Sudha. Would you like to kind of give us an overview? Just 1 second, let me just get that full screen. Okay. Here you go.
Hello everyone. I'm Sudarshan, but I know that's a mouthful, so you can call me Solania. So all my social media accounts use that. So yeah, and what I want, my great vision and dream in life is to see robots and humans working and living together. So I love robots. And my journey to get where I am right now, I'm 16 years old, I'm going to turn 17 in September, is quite a convoluted one. So I started off with Mindstorms and XT when I was in primary 4, which means I was 10 years old. But then, you know, the environment for primary school students in Singapore at that period of time, PSLE and all those, so I actually dropped even working with robots for quite a period of time for that 2 years in my life. And I studied a lot for PSLE, and when I got out, I got a pretty high I got one of the best schools in Singapore, but I didn't really feel much satisfaction with, it didn't feel very good answering questions that people really knew the answer to. And that's what I would put it as. So I got back in. I started off with my first electronics project endeavor was very simple. It was an A-stable multivibrator using a 555 timer. It's how classic, one of those classic electronics projects people start with. And then I learned basic electronics, like how transistors work, resistors, and electronics 101. And then I discovered this whole new world of digital electronics, starting with the Arduino platform. That was in about when I was 13 and a half years old or so. And that was when I started making my first project. So you can see it at your left. It's a mouse, even though it doesn't look like a mouse. It's actually an inertial mouse. It's connected to an IMU. Internally, there is a Arduino Nano, and the case is 3D printed using my school's 3D printer, which I managed to beg my teacher to use, and they said yes, which was pretty amazing. And it uses normal switches inside, and basically you, instead of using it on the floor, you can use it in the air, and you can maneuver the IMU to point the cursor wherever you want, and that was when I was 13 years old. And from that point on, it kind of just took off from there. I outgrew the Arduino platform pretty quickly because I realized that it has a lot of constraints. So when I was about 14 and a half, 15 years old, I moved to ARM processors. So right now I use real-time operating systems and STM32s all the time. So all of the other three projects, except for the last one, the other two projects that I use STM32s inside. So what you see there is a KSP, a Kerbal Space Program flight controller. So basically, it's a game, and we built a whole NASA command station feel to the game by putting buttons and a screen there, and it all looks like an arcade game. and internally uses custom PCBs made in KiCad to connect it via serial to the computer. The last two are both robots, because I love robots, I said. The second last one is actually pretty interesting. It's a new type of drone, conceived from scratch, completely 3D printed. It uses coaxial motors and flaps to control it instead of your conventional 4 motors and differential thrust thing that you have going on. And so that helps make drones much more compact. That's one of the smallest coaxial type drones that you will find around, and it also makes it much safer. And that goes towards my emo of drones and humans living together, because it needs to be safe if you want to interact with drones on a daily basis. And that's actually controlled via the entire distance, even though it's been discontinued very sadly. Yeah. The PCB is also custom, and the last one actually won a hackathon at last year's Hack and Roll organized by NUS. That's a drone, that's a robot that's meant to be a replace CCTV camera. So it's supposed to be a mobile CCTV camera thing that you can control through a web app, and you can basically drive it around your house and see what's up in your house, whether the baby's crying or stuff like that. And right now, I'm working on quite a few other projects, and I'm also a freelancer. So I am on Upwork because I need to be able to fund my own projects and also fund my university education. So I'm now working. Yeah.
These people multi-contributors, love it. Okay, the next group I'd like to introduce is Owen and Chris. Owen and Chris are from MIT. Let me get this going. All right.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and I'm from China, and this is my partner Owen. He's from Singapore. And actually, during our 2 years poly life, we have been provided a lot of opportunities to take part in the workshops and events organized by our school. And actually, the first year, we have we have been encouraged to participate in the Intel boot camp, which is taught us about the basic program concepts, Sears and Intel Galileo. And we were also tasked to do the robot, which is obstacle avoidance robot. This is a video show what I have done during that time. Please. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. It's a video. No, it's a video. Okay, sorry. There is a very simple robot, but I think it's a very important and meaningful for me. You can tell from my face. Actually, at that time, I find learning programming and Intel Galileo is a very interesting and enjoyable thing. So a few months later, we volunteered to support the Science and Technology Challenge, and we were assist in the development of light controlling car, also use Intel Galileo board. And during that time, I find it's necessary for us to build something for our own. So we made an important decision for us to make our own smart device, which is this swim guard. So let me invite my partner Owen to share something about our new invention.
Alright, hello. So I would like to talk more about our project Swim Guard and share with you our train of thoughts when we are trying to create this product itself. So is it okay if I assume more of you here are parents, great parents with kids? So kids being kids, they like to play. Sorry, do you like to go to swim? Do you like to go to swim? Maybe? Alright, that's a yes. Okay, so But do you know, in recent years, just last year, KK Hospital actually published a article whereby it mentioned that just last year, there were 104 child drowning cases, 10% of them being death cases, which is pretty serious. Another case is whereby a girl was actually drowning, but her father did not notice. He was at the side of the pool using his mobile device. Then we have a problem. So we have to solve it. This is why we made this swim guard itself. I'd like to tell you more about this product. Okay, so our swim guard is more of a motion sensor. I would not say motion sensor, sorry. It detects gesture. It's a gesture recognition device. So in the case whereby you drown, you actually press down on the water surface to push yourself up to breathe, to get what? Oxygen, right? Okay. So that's why we actually recognize it as an instinctive drowning response. Alright. So in the current market, we have two products that I want to highlight today. One being iSwimBand. So what it is a device whereby you wear it around your head, and if you are submerged in water for more than an allocated amount of time, the alarm will actually ring. But we assume that by the time that the alarm is already dead, the child will have already drowned, and effects will be like permanent brain damages. Another device that I want to talk about is the King 2. It's a wearable device. It's supposed to be worn on your wrist itself. With the press of a button, it will deploy like a small float. The problem with it is that as the float is small, the child's body will still be underwater even though the float is being deployed. And also, as a kid, chances are that you have a panic attack and he will not be able to respond in time to press the button itself. So now I would like to tell you more about how we actually built the swim guard itself. So our swim guard is being run by Intel Curie. One of the reasons why we want to run Intel Curie is it is affordable. Looking back at King 2, it costs around $130, which is pretty expensive. Also, it runs on Bluetooth Low Energy. One of the reasons why we wanted to use Bluetooth Low Energy is because it is very easily discoverable. It is compatible with a lot of mobile devices nowadays. Also, we have an accelerometer and gyroscope inside, which we use to measure to detect gesture. So, before the user can actually use our swim guard here itself, he must calibrate the swim guard. He can do so by actually wearing the device and actually waving his hand in up-down motion in water with around 60 to 70% of the full strength. And in the case of a real drowning situation, we can the user will actually hit down on the water with all his strength. Right? You want to come up and breathe, guess what, air? You hit at a very large strength. We set a threshold which is 60 to 70%. But in the case of a real drowning situation, you use his full strength and you exceed the threshold value, and then a notification will be sent to the user's, the parents' mobile phone to tell them that, hey, your son is in danger. Yeah, I think this is pretty much what we have done and accomplished over the years, and I just really want to thank Chris and thank Mr. Alex, everybody for all the support. Yeah, this is, thank you. This is our maker's journey. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Christian. And now we've got Thea. One second. Hi, okay. All right.
Hi, good evening. My full name is Thea Wikanti, but usually people call me Thea. I'm from Indonesia, and in Indonesia, especially in my hometown, special region of Yogyakarta, in Java Island, we have a team, we have a community called Sagasitas community, and in Sagasitas community we have also a kind of sub-organization which called GIH, or Jogja Innovation Hub. So in Jogja Innovation Hub, it's a team of a maker, just like what we all have here. And this is the picture of me and my team. So actually that the selfie one, I'm sorry. So the selfie one is my picture and my team. So next please. My project and my team project is about ArKIDecture, or Artificial Environment and Geomanipulation Incubating System for Shrimp Farming. We focus on aquaculture, especially shrimp, because as I know, Indonesia is one of the largest shrimp productivity in Asia. And this one, when we have a survey in south coastal of Java Island, we found so many problems there, and we try to help the farmers, the shrimp farmers, to solve their problems. And here, up to right here, actually our project is still on progress. Next, please. It's still on progress, and up to right now, we just focus on two main problems. Next, please. So the first problem is about the aerator system. So actually, our Jogja Innovation Hub is focused on what the public need, not the sophisticated of the technology, but what people need in our hometown. Because actually Indonesia, especially in my hometown, is really limited touch of technology, something like that. And our first innovation, our first type of this ArKIDecture is making the automatic aerator system, because the farmers over there, they cannot come to the pool at exact time in every 4 hours to turn the aerator on and off, something like that. So the dissolved oxygen level is not in optimal condition. So we make the automatic aerator system. Next, please. And this one is the prototype. We also using watering sensor, because our consideration to use watering sensor is when the rain comes, the aerator system will automatically off, because the rain is already bring dissolved oxygen. Next. This prototype of aerator system is we already implemented in Berbah Sleman, Yogyakarta, in my hometown. And this is the documentation. And this is my team when we are doing our work. Next. So the second one is the monitoring the water conditions. So actually, shrimp is a very sensitive animal, and the shrimp will easily attacked by a disease called white spot syndrome. If you have know it, this white spot, the shrimp will attacked by that disease if the water is not in optimal condition. But the farmers there has the limitation to monitor the water conditions, such as the potential of hydrogen and the temperature and the salinity and so on and so forth in a real time. So my team and I try to help the farmers by making a tool which can exactly monitor the water condition. But we're still in a prototype. Next, please. And here's my prototype. So we use a tank. We use a little tank, and this tank has some sensor. But after right now, we just add a potential of hydrogen sensor and temperature sensor, because actually we're gonna add more sensor, but it's hard to find, and it's too expensive for us, because we're still a high school student. Next, please. This one is the interface, the future interface. Actually, we already have the tool and the interface. The interface is compatible for PC, but after we're gonna develop it for Android. So we have the tool and the interface, but it's still separate. But soon after this, our future project is to combine them, to connect them, so the farmers can monitor the water condition, and this interface will give them a kind of warning system. So when the water condition is not in exactly normal condition, it will warn the farmer and give the farmers a notice what to do and what should they prepare to treat the pool so the water can back into normal condition, something like that. Next. Next again. So actually, what's the urgency of our project is, I heard the news that it's already really hot news that in the swimming pool in South Coastal, especially in Kulon Progo, in this place, this big shrimp conservation there, it will build a new international airport. So the shrimp farming will be evicted. So when it evicted, we cannot eat shrimp from Indonesia again. So our incubating system or our prototype for monitoring the shrimp from the previous slide is also can have the role in it. So the tank will we will make the tank in a huge in a big part, in a big size, and we can cultivate the shrimp in a tank. So we can so the shrimp will not only can cultivate at the real shrimp farming right there in South Coastal, but we also can cultivate the shrimp far away from the South Coastal. So, but we can manipulate the water condition. We can also control the water condition, and we we really make an artificial environment for shrimp farming. That's all.
Thank you very much, Liang. So, guys, any questions? I think we've got time for maybe a couple. Has anybody got questions specifically for any of the?
I just have one question. Some of you work out of maker spaces, and some of you work on behalf of schools, and you've been quite a good mix of these two. The difference, I think, Karthikey, you mentioned in your talk, the difference between working at the school and working out of a maker space in a project. So, in terms of outcomes, in terms of the way the projects are guided, how do you feel that working in a institution, a structured institution, helps you focus, or is it in a maker space? Do you have more freedom? Do you have anything that? And so you work pretty much for yourself. So how do you feel, and how do you look at it?
So from my perspective, working in a makerspace is since I cannot speak for the school side too much in terms of actual making, because my school doesn't have very highly specialized making equipment. But what I can say is that when you are at a makerspace, you will find people with different skill sets, because one person cannot know everything. And so when you're at a makerspace and you're working as a team, you will have people in your team that will know a lot more than you do in some areas, and you will know a lot more than them in some areas. So that may not be true in schools because everyone's being taught the same exact thing. But in a makerspace, there's a real opportunity to learn from everyone else, and also it's more creative in the sense you have a lot more equipment, you have a lot more freedom than to actually complete an assignment for grades and in school, whereas in a makerspace, you are really doing it what you believe in.
My thoughts would be about the same, but I want to explain more on the school, because my school does have a maker program, and I mean what they teach you in design and engineering class is a very structured way to think to get to the end product. So they say, oh yeah, we have a flow chart and you have to do this, and then if you don't get this, then you do the same thing over and again, and you do it over and over until you get a product. In my experience, although that is what happens, I don't really follow the steps I don't think of the steps while I'm following them, I just do it. So I don't really want to be forced into writing what I'm thinking down. I just go there and you just go with the flow. Sometimes it's trial and error, and sometimes you have to think through what you're doing, but at the end, as long as you get there, it should be fine. So that's why I actually like to work independently rather than work based on a system. And in terms of maker spaces, yes, I believe in the community as well. I actually contribute to open source software as well. So I really think that as a community, when they come together, they can really do amazing things. So I think maker spaces and open source software is actually pretty amazing.
I've just got one question for Teo. Teo, when you actually started scoping such a large project that had such a major social impact, what was the process? How did you go about it? How did you go about scoping the problem, identifying the issues, and communicating that within your team? Sorry? Oh, sorry. Yeah, how did you go about defining identifying the project, the Shroud project. What was the process that you used for that?
So the process of our project is actually it starts from our discussion. So actually I'm not my basic is not in electrical or engineering. My basic is on biology actually. I am the student of high school and next week I want to enter a college, Gajah University, in Department of Microbiology. So our team, our makerspace is not basically all of them not all of them. The basic of our community is not all from engineering, but we collaborate from any other major or something like that. And yeah, we start our project from a little bit discussion, and we share the problems, we read the news, and we collaborate, and we think what to do and what's the best to do. And if we have a problem, we ask to our mentor. So in our community, it's not all of them not high school, so some of them are already college student, and we can discuss with them with the more experienced one. So when we make it, the point is we always have a discussion, mentoring, and something like that.
I think that's it.
That's all we have time for, unfortunately.
You guys, thank you so much. I could put a round of applause.
Am I allowed to have a question? I was too late to put up my hand. I wanted to ask you from Georgia. Did the income of the shrimp farmers increase from your intervention with the devices?
So the income of the shrimp pool will be increased with my project or not.
Yeah.
So soon if we have developed it, and soon if we have really engaged, if our project is already really good, then soon inshallah it will be increase the income, increase the productivity, and increase the value of the production, inshallah.
Start just because we're short of time and you guys have been sitting here a long time. So just to kind of recap, my name is Kneal. I'm the director of a company called HKD. We design museums, exhibitions and heritage sites, and we've done a bit of work with you guys here in the Singapore Science Centre. I'm also the founder of Geek Play. It's an organisation set up to do stuff that can't necessarily happen within established organisations. We work with games and play. And actually we talk about meet, make and play. The meet, your friends, family, but also artists, producers, makers. Make because we're all creators, not consumers. And play because the world's a better place than we play together. And here at the Maker Fair, you really don't need to be told a load of that because you've already got that, where sometimes in the big outside world that needs a bit more explanation. But here we're surrounded by friends. So the title of this session is The Power of Daydreaming, Tinkering, Rolling Worms, Challenges of Making for Educators. And in a way that last session just set it up perfectly. And that last question about, what's the difference between making in a makerspace and making in schools? And there was a real sense of liberation that came from making in the makerspaces. Now I'm delighted to have three people with me here who have all kind of looked at this edge between the making space and education, and really the fact that we need to address what's happening in education. So with no more ado, I'm going to hand over to the first of the three speakers who are going to talk about their experience looking at this area. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Carol MacGillivray. There you go, Carol.
Thank you very much. I think I have to press no. Hello, Dr. Carol MacGillivray. I'm giving a talk tomorrow, a sort of case study about bringing action learning to engineers. So today I thought what I'd do is That's in my role as a maker and an artist. So today I thought what I'd do is I'd pull out and zoom out to a sort of higher level look at how academia fights using maker technology and the problems with it. And I'm slightly qualified to do this because I did spend some time as an academic, and I also spent time in management in the university, so I know how to read a spreadsheet of the university and see what's going wrong and what's going right, and was involved in creating strategies. So in part, I'm putting on the kind of naughty manager hat as well as my, my artist hat, although I am now really a recovering academic and moving on with making art instead. So this is some thoughts, and I really hope that you can give me your thoughts back on this, about why the maker technology, why the maker fair, why just the idea of using the idea of making and treating art, science, technology together holistically doesn't really work yet in HE, and why it's resistant to it. And then sort of to talk about how maybe we could start to break it down. So I'm going to talk specifically about HE, although I have experience with children and so on. The first thing is the silo mentality in HE, which I'm sure exists here, but exists specifically in the UK in a really serious way, through the managerial structure, through the budgets and how they filter down through universities, and particularly through the research funding. We have a thing called the REF, which is the Research Exercise Framework, where for 5 years the budget for research within a university is fixed, and you get that budget from competing with your academics. This means that academics move around like football stars at the top from one university to another, and they're sold and bought in this way. So it's a very odd system indeed, and a very expensive system, and it's a system that universities use up a lot of energy and a lot of money trying to make work. But the reason they do it is because their share of the whole money for the research in the UK comes from their percentage that they're judged to have made in that particular time period. So this creates a silo mentality. The silo mentality works at the management level as well, because we're split into departments, and we're split science, art, business, whatever. They're always split up into different areas, and that comes from the research, but it also comes from the way the budgets are handed down through the university. Another thing that stops us treating it holistically is the culture of knowledge transfer. Particularly theorists like to go and put knowledge into students. There is a feeling that knowledge must be put into students rather than drawn from them. And this is an issue when it comes to doing the maker idea. So rather than looking at creating student confidence and bonding and teamwork and all the things that we would value as employers when they come out of a university, we very often just try and stuff a whole load of facts into them. There's staff fiefdoms in the UK. A lot of people fight their territory because of the money and the way it works, and they want to hold on to it. And there's a student fear, generally, of moving outside of a particular area. They feel, because of the way that this is structured, that if they want to study one particular thing, and if you move off-piste in any direction, they panic in quite a large way. That was great. Oh, it did move, of course, not on my screen. Yes. So the other thing that happens is knowledge transfer versus facilitation, and the really three big things that stop this going on. And you spend forever in meetings talking about these things, and they spiral into disuse or never happening. They sound like good ideas, but states don't want to do it, and it's a premium cost. The budget for materials and tools cost, and health and safety, really, nobody wants to injure a student And that is enough to stop really sort of interesting things going on. Real-world problem solving, which is exactly something that we do in the Maker technology. Well, the first problem here is that staff aren't really from the real world. Most of them are operating in their little silos and don't really, they're frightened of the real world. That's why they're in academia. I mean, that's not true of them all, but it's certainly, there is a flavour of that going on. And a lot of staff are in teaching but haven't got the understanding of pedagogy that perhaps one might hope. So they don't try new things, they get stuck in a rut, they've always taught something one particular way, they keep on teaching the same way, they can't see a way of moving forward or changing the way things go. In the science area, in particular, there's a positive findings bias, and failure is never awarded. It's very hard to build it into an education system, and yet we all know that if you're going to go for real-world problem solving, you're going to run down, some false rabbit holes before you get to the good things. And if you do get failures, there's no reward for it. There's no mark for the student, there's no budget funding, the whole thing is not making you feel good. So, group work is the final one that I have, so I'm nearly there. Silo mentality in HE, which I mentioned. There's also really severe silo mentality in students that is passed down through this. And students get very frightened about group work, and you have to do a lot of work just to make students understand why group work is important. Outside, in the real world, we all hope that they can do group work and work with other people, and that one of the skills they should be learning at university is how to go about that. It's very difficult for them to understand and appreciate that there's ways of marking that, and indeed for tutors as well, that there are ways of marking group work so that the proportion of work that they put in is reflected in their mark. And this is also to do with the weak emphasis on graduateness and soft measurables. When I was teaching, rather than teaching specifically, I was mostly teaching animation and business studies. And rather than teaching those, I was teaching critically reflective lifelong learning, really, which is not an easy one to measure. So this is the final slide here. Solutions, and I'm really hoping you can all contribute to this in one way or another. The first thing for any solution to happen, as we all know, is to admit it's a problem and create a desire for change. Personally, if I was in charge of the whole lot, which I'm not, which is probably a damn good thing, I would remove all marketing departments and the spirit of competition between universities. I would get rid of the REF. I'd kill the HE cartel, which makes them all charge the same amount of money. I'd change the measurements of graduateness, which is perfectly possible pedagogically to understand what you're doing, and understand the social effects of student drop-off and employment issues, which we get again and again, is that people come out as graduates and employees say, but they don't seem to understand how to work in a group, they don't seem to have confidence, they don't know how to do lots of things that they would expect, how to research independently. And you can do this through increasing modular learning, training staff in new models of facilitation. And the Maker movement is a place that can really help here. We should be able to create artist residences or engineer residences and be able to look across the disciplines and help the tutors to find ways through. Thank you.
I'm suggesting you just hand straight over to John. And John, can you introduce yourself, please?
I can introduce myself because I have a slide specifically for that. So some of you may remember me from a few hours ago when I tortured you with these things. Were there some people in the room still from there? Or has everybody escaped after that? I am a real-world designer, game designer. I used to work in the games industry and now I'm safely outside of that. But I also share Carol's background of being a recovering academic. We met for the first time on the plane, actually on the way over here, and spent, I think, 2 hours kind of going through our academic lives and how much fun it was, and how neither of us are now academics. So that probably tells you all you need to know. So in my life as a real-world designer, real-world game designer, I've made a number of things, and what I'm going to do is talk about some of these and then touch on some of these areas, assuming I remember to, as we go through. I was particularly amazed by the last session, actually, by the young people and the incredible stuff they've been able to make. You know, people were talking about printing PCBs and playing with Intel Galileos, things that just weren't there when I was growing up, and I'm amazed and also very jealous by the kind of things that are out there. I often give examples of like growing up and how hard it was to be a maker 30 plus years ago, which gives you an idea of how old I was. And if I got stuck on a problem, I couldn't just go to a makerspace and talk to someone and get help. I mean, I literally did this. I wrote into a magazine, into a computer magazine, to ask for help, and the response took 8 months. You know, so that gives you an idea of how different things were before the internet age. So I'm very jealous, and it's incredible what people are doing. So Ranga, some examples of the work that led up to Ranga are being shown in E3, so do come across and have a chat and see some of that. But I'm going to show you just some other things and talk through them as we go. So this is a thing called the Moment of Madness. It's a crazy real-world game experience set in a car park. The players are on a live stakeout, and it's a mixture of technology and story and art, and all of these things rolled into one. And what's, I guess, interesting about this piece is that in order to make it, we're trying to get funding in the UK from a body called Arts Council England, which may mean nothing in this room at all. But they take the money from the government, mainly from the lottery. So people that play the lottery, their money goes into a pot and it gets redistributed to people, makers like us, sometimes or artists like us. I'm not sure if the other makers get any funding this way, but within my peer group, it's very common to get money from places like the Heritage Lottery Fund and Arts Council England. And as part of that, it's about reaching out to people and engaging people. And obviously one of the ways we do that is to run maker-type events. So in the process of building this, which involves lots of technology or lots of storytelling, we will run a series of making-type events to get members of the public coming to make things, which I think is fantastic. I mean, the negative side to that, I think probably, and perhaps the others will disagree with me again on this, is that the money that's spent from the Arts Council that goes to people like me probably doesn't do a good enough job of reaching the wide population. It's quite narrow in the people that we manage to attract. So in the UK we would call that middle class. So while the money is being given by everyone who plays the lottery, actually the money is probably not being spent in necessarily the right way. I'm going to give the microphone over in a minute so people can kind of challenge me on that, which is fine. What are other examples on here? These are the other things that I do, is that I make things for museums. And a lot of the interactives you've seen in the science gallery, the types of things I make as well. So big screen experiences, touch table experiences, camera type stuff. And again, when I do this work for museums, we also do a lot of outreach in museums. We do a lot of workshops in museums. So things like the Babylon Beasts is something that will be run in museums. This is going to be run in November in the UK. As part of a festival called Being Human. And again, I think, particularly where I'm based, which is Birmingham in England, again, museums attract quite a small demographic of the population. It's not a wider thing. And I think the thing that I was going back to again and again was really this amazing things that these young people were doing earlier on, and how do we get that out to the wider population? So I don't know if we're doing a good enough job of that in schools, really. And so one of the things we're seeing in the UK, again, is that there's a lot of money now being invested in making. Making is a big thing. You know, if you want to get money from Arts Council or someone, you put making in your project somewhere because you know you're going to get funded. And just down the road from me, where I started making the game Ranga, I was based in an old museum that had been mothballed, that had been closed down, which was the silk mills, that claims to be the world's first factory, and is now going to be relaunched as the Museum of Making. So they've got in excess of £20 million to kind of become this kind of makerspace and try and reach this more diverse population. Whether they succeed in doing that, I genuinely hope they do, but that's a big challenge to do that. But I think the fact that the government is giving money to those kind of spaces is probably saying they're not particularly happy with how schools are dealing with it, or maybe they just don't have enough money to get around. Maybe that's the problem. So I'm also speaking from the point of view of an educator. So obviously there's me educating in kind of the informal workshops in the outreach of museums and arts world, but I've spent 10 years in higher education as well. I created and launched a degree program which I ran for 8 years. So my background is computer science, so this was about, can we take computer science and can we teach it in a more fun way? And so lots of the issues that Carol has raised are kind of related to that, particularly in terms of all these great skills that we talk about from making, about problem solving, and just they don't always gel well with the academic structure and also what kids have learned on their way up. Again, this is me being critical of and knowing that these 18-year-old young people that would come on the course, during their school life, they've been very much taught how to pass tests. And so they're very much ingrained in this, what do we need to know to pass the test? And they really love this, I'm sure people can relate to this. They really love the idea of, tell me what I need to do. I will do what I'm told to do, and if I do what I'm told to do, then I expect to get an A grade, I expect to get a first class grade. And so it's really hard to then try and foster a kind of maker community over the top of that, where we want to encourage people to tinker and to fail fast and to make mistakes. I think that's quite a hard thing to do when everyone's like, what do I need to do to get my first class degree? And I can wax lyrical about the problems of UK academia for quite a lot longer. So I'll skip over that because we might get into it a bit more, we'll see. And so through some of this work, I've built large-scale projects. And again, we talked about this briefly earlier on. This is a project for Hampton Court Palace. A large-scale game, real-world experience where this sheep is your game controller and it talks to the players and talks to the other sheep. And this is a very expensive, high-end experience, a 6-figure budget to build this. And so really I want to share that knowledge. So not just about sharing knowledge with young people, but I want to share that knowledge with other museums who can't afford to do this. And obviously in those kind of spaces, maker spaces are just unknown words. As soon as you start talking about Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, people are terrified. Particularly as the people that are working in the museums are not digital natives, they're generally older than me. A lot of the volunteers are a lot older. And so it was really about, can we build things that encourage this kind of making, this playful experience that people can get their hands on very quickly, but that don't require this kind of background knowledge. And so that's where it really things like Babylon Beast came from. And so that's kind of led me to kind of produce a number of online tutorials which are all down in this kind of maker space world of kind of encouraging people to build things very, very quickly. These are all based on larger things that I've built for museums that are well funded, and then how do we build very simple, small versions of those as quickly as possible to encourage people to get into this space. And once they're in there, they can start tinkering and start playing. I'm going to stop there because I know we're supposed to be on 5 minutes. So off.
Okay, so I'm just going to run this. Okay, so my name's Nicola Schauerman. I'm one half of Genetic Moo. We're also in the same space, and we are interactive artists, but we also run lots of workshops where we teach creative coding. This particular piece I'll tell you about in a minute, but it's a collaborative work, and it was made with 12 mentors who are sixth formers and 120 primary schools, all responsible for one shape. This is a video that shows the output that's been joined together. So, as I say, I'm an artist, first and foremost, but I've also been a teacher. I worked in sixth form education, and I taught media studies, filmmaking, editing in particular. Tim and I are very excited by the potential of digital technology and coding in creating art. And it's one of the things that we love to share with young people. And because we love to do it, it means that we also want to open our art spaces up to them, so we see them as as I said before, collaborative spaces. We will set up computers for them, or maybe bring in people who've got robotic skills and invite youngsters in, but also adults as well, to come and make and to contribute to the space. So the piece we've got in E3 is called Micro World Singapore. It's a very small version of the sort of micro worlds we set up. It's where the artworks are talking to each other, as well as the audience, and participants can come in and create something. We do actually also get funding, but we get it, rather than it coming directly from the Arts Council, we tend to get funded by councils who are interested in us taking on some of the responsibilities that they would have liked the schools to take up, teaching coding, and delivering workshops. So, for example, we ran courses in Scunthorpe for local secondary schools. We're invited in to teach creative coding around the theme, because it was the celebration of Shakespeare's birth, around the theme of Midsummer Night's Dream. So it's sort of magic and language, therefore, of course, coding. So important to us, my background's in teaching, so I do understand some of the administrative difficulties of actually trying to deliver what you want to deliver and what you have to do to, meet the expectations of the school, etc. So for us, Tim and I are interested in encouraging the next generation of digital artists. So we want to share our enthusiasm for it and the possibility of becoming an artist instantly in the space. But also, very importantly, we want to encourage independent learning, because of course, the child, the youngster or the adult may well go away and say, okay, well, I can take this further. So we want to nurture people having confidence to go away and do it. And because we want them to be independent learners, it's very important that we teach them open source software. So we teach them coding and processing, and if we're doing some sort of sprite animation, then we'll use something like Pascal, so that they can go away and they can download it for free and they can get on with it. And how many of you are familiar with processing? So a few of you. Well, for those of you who aren't, it's marvellous, because first of all, the children are writing code rather than dragging and dropping it, so they're really getting to the roots of what they need to know for coding. But also, because it's open source, there are enormous libraries of samples of work which they can download and play with and get to grips with it. So we encourage that. We, of course, encourage problem solving. We want them to. You do learn by making mistakes with programming, so that's important. And what else did I want to say? In collaboration. Tim and I collaborate as artists, and we open up the space to other artists and tinkerers, makers, to contribute to the space, but we also invite the visitors to be a part of that process as well. So if you come into E3, you will also have a chance to become a squidlet, so to be digital art, or to make a drifter, or to actually do some cellular automata. But in that case, it's a graphic interface that you'll work with, and we'll tell you more behind the scenes. So thank you very much. This piece then was designed by, as I say, 12 17-year-olds acting as mentors. We were taken on for a STEAM project. We were the artists then contributing to that. And then these 12 mentors, who were computer scientists, had not worked with coding for creative purposes, so that was new for them. Then each of them mentored over 12 children over 2 days in doing coding, and they produced this. And Tim created a physics engine, and this is our perpetual motion machine. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, thank you. I had hoped to have a sort of lively discussion. I suspect it's right at the end of the day. Everybody's really tired. I'm very happy to open it up to questions, but I think that what would be really good is if you want to come along to E3. I mean, we've brought together, we've been allowed together to bring this team together of artists, makers, creators, and what each one of them has done is brought work to put up in E3 that has this progression from kind of, if you like, low entry, inviting people to come into play, to being there to take them into a more complex world. And each of the works that people have bought have been designed to inspire learning, build confidence, and kind of really open the doors on this creative world. I think one of the things I'd just like to flag up that came out of this morning's discussion is you can tell these people firmly have their feet in the world of art. There was a lot of conversation this morning about STEM, and I think this sort of STEM discussion and where that sits in makerspaces is also quite interesting. That Carol talked about silos, and I think we want to be careful not to be creating new silos as we're challenging others. I think there's some really, really big challenges here about education, and it's come through this day, and I think it's come through what these people have said. I'm not sure we've got time for a wider discussion, but I'm very happy if people have got one or two questions to open it up, but I quite understand if it's time to go.
Sorry, just want to check, do you really need that huge budget to get people to start? If I want to do a workshop, you need that huge budget, you know, like 36-figure budget or this kind of thing.
Sorry, let me just clarify. So the 6-figure budget for the sheep game, so that was a commercial piece of work that I did that hasn't been funded yet, actually. That's the proposed budget for it. But that's got nothing to do with the work that comes lower. Sorry if I've confused the matter there. So like this, for example, so this is the budget version of that same project, and that's using a £50 phone, and the cards that we were using earlier on are 50 pence each. So yeah, so generally the stuff that we do is probably on very low budgets. That was for a much bigger team with developers and like professional voiceover artists and a lot of product designers, because that was a piece that's going to go into a palace, a royal palace, and it's going to sit there for many years. So that's quite different from a lot of the work that we normally make. And yeah, Arts Council would not fund any of those kind of things. So that's a commercial project which doesn't address the maker world. But people like me that are makers have to get paid somewhere down the line. So we take on other work as well.
Thank you. I have to say it's really quite amazing to hear the various things heard here. I've been out of the UK for 29 years. And people say, oh, what's the difference between teaching in the UK and in Singapore? I don't know, never taught in the UK. Well, it sounds horrifying. I'm sorry, but in Singapore, I wouldn't say money is dripping out the walls, but education is absolutely a very high priority here. Yeah. But then again, you get told to save a few cents here so they can have potted plants and things. I may not say anything about it, but I'll just say publicly, I got out of University of Surrey with a third-class honours because I spent too much time making. So it is true what you say. You make, or you get your good grades. I'm sorry, it just seems to be that way.
What you shared just reminded me of Vera at this point, the speaker, right? The last speaker of Sustainable Living Lab. He was an engineering student in NUS, National University of Singapore, but he was very active in other activities. And he realized that in the class, because in that era, all the students going to the engineering schools are all top grades, A students. And he decided that I certainly could not make it to the first class grade. And I could survive second class, I'm quite happy. Then he used his creative mind. He said I should make a way out for myself, to make myself known. So he decided to devote himself to do making, engineering, social engineering. And true enough, after that, whether he's got first class, second class, or third class, is all irrelevant. And he's now a founder of the Sustainable Living Lab. And he's done great work, and this morning he was now summit. And he made something that was so useful, and it spun off into something that benefited India, and it continued to run as a social enterprise. And it's now spreading out so many other activities, and it's because he believed in making, he believed in his innovation bit,
And to him, grade was not that great after all. It's not something that you should chase after. And we are changing the mindset also. I mean, this morning I talked about how we managed to get into the mainstream. We bring in an applied learning program to school. And when I put that in, I told the Ministry of Education, no exams for this. We want the students to see purpose-driven, applied-driven learning, and interestingly they'll say, I want to learn more because I need that knowledge to build up my competence. And it's interesting that you talk about the staff are not from the real world, right? And that's exactly what I told the Ministry of Education. When I was asked to bring applied learning program, STEM applied learning program to schools, I actually told the ministry and also told the principals, I said, with due respect, but I want to break the inbreeding cycle because you think about it, most of the teachers have never left school. They went to university, they went to the teaching college, they come back to school, and they don't know what real world was. So I made it a point that our curriculum specialists are all researchers, scientists who have really experienced the real world to come in and they devise and design curriculum to bring into the schools. And we also purposely recruited people who have never gone through proper so-called traditional formal pedagogy training so that they can be very wacky and creative. And this brought in to the school and we kind of break the inbreeding cycle. And it turned out to be quite a successful thing. When I was asked to do it, the task was to reach out to 50% of the 124 non-elite schools. The elite schools, they know what they are doing. The non-elite schools, we call them non-branded neighborhood schools. Morale was low, students went in with low esteem. But with this, within 3 years, we exceeded that 62. We went to 70, 72, and some of the schools wanted to come in, but the ministry have said, you need to put a stop to it. Why? Because they do not want to have all schools converting themselves into STEM, because in this real world, you need all kinds of people, not just engineers and scientists. And now I want to talk about, Kate, you asked whether it should be STEM or STEAM. We debated over this. Should the A be put in there? And the decision was, we assume A is part and parcel of our life. Right? Because design thinking, art is so broad, from philosophy to social sciences to the way you find art, music and so on. So you put an art in there, it becomes like, what kind of art are you talking about now? So we do it with this assumption that being aesthetic, we go after beautiful things, right? I mean, nice things, beautiful things. And we assume art is in there, without speaking, without talking about it. Whatever STEM project that you do, you reach a point that you're going to make it beautiful. From practical to become beautiful, to design and so on and so forth. So we decided to make it that way, STEM. But we know that art will come in and we need the art part. And so much so that the Ministry of Education also encouraged our people that you must always work with people who complement you. And in your team, make sure that you have artists coming in, because they give you a very interesting perspective. So we are conscious. We are not narrowly saying that STEM, you put art aside. And that's the reason why in our Makers Fair you see a very strong fusion. And next week you'll see even a stronger fusion of arts and science, because next week is our 3rd year running visual SG. It's really combining arts and science and technology. It's going to be so beautiful. Yes, right. That's right.
So sorry, I guess I got a question. Yeah, because I want to start a maker workshop around my neighborhood because I stay around here. So I just want to find out is it more appropriate to start a single session workshop or like a multiple workshop, and also the demographic, right? Should I just involve with the kids alone or mixture of adults and kids? Because I just want to find out some experience because.
Yeah. Okay, well I'll answer. I'll tell you what, because we're going to have to go quite quickly, but I will say, so I'm going to be around tomorrow. If you're around tomorrow, come and have a chat with us, okay? But we, at the moment, most of our workshops do tend to be standalone, single, maybe 1 hour, just introducing them to processing, but literally in the first 2 minutes they are programming, they have something in front of them, okay? But we do family ones as well, where we get parents and a child working together. Usually the child takes the lead. And we've done purely adult, we've done coding for artists. So it's really what you want to do and experimenting with it. But I can hear there are big differences maybe between Britain and Singapore in this attitude of art behind everything, because I don't think we can agree with that. It will happen at some point. So there was one more question over there, so perhaps, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on the point that you made, which is that people have gone on to be super successful without going for grades, but most kids don't have access or knowledge of that, and most parents don't know that. So what can we do as communities to really show kids that there are many roads to
You bring
grow?
something very sensitive to Singapore, because our Minister of Education, the current one especially, is trying to abolish exams. But the parents are saying, no, I need to know that my son, my daughter is cleverer than your son or your daughter. We need that A grades to prove that they are Asians. Okay? Right. Anyway, it will take generations to change the mindset. And this morning you heard about, I think Teo was sharing that MIT is now allowing you to come in with portfolios. And we are seeing more of such. Many of our students are now getting what we call direct admission to schools. One of the boys, he went to MBS High School, right? And MBS High School is an elite school, and schools like them have the autonomy. They can set aside 10%, 20% of students by direct entry. And you go there by what? You impress the panel, you show them your portfolio, and they can be admitted without having a grade. So we are changing, and we are seeing more and more of such successful cases, for example, to tell other parents, you learn the terms kiasu, kiasi, you know, I'm just scared of being left behind, scared of being, you know, whatever, right? Okay. So it takes one or even two generations till the current parents all know more, and the younger parents who went through without having to show their paper qualification to move on. And our government has made something very bold. Lately they say that if you are good, you can climb the social ladder, career ladder as high as possible. In the past, when you come in with a second class honors, your pay scale is this. First class, your pay scale is that, and you're stuck all the way till you retire. And we have broken that. Even with a diploma, if you are very good, you can be paid as high as a PhD. So I think we are changing. Singapore realized that paper chase is not the solution. But it takes time. Now our problem is the parents. The parents who they say, no, I want exams.
That's a question. Now, hearing from the sharing here, that I wanted to understand, from your experience. For example, the makerspace is meant to make people, especially young makers, curious about things, inspire them, and then get them to become an independent learner, that they wanted to actually try and do something. So how do you actually get the makerspace ready whenever there's a question, there's a so-called problems, they go to the makerspace, the problem can be solved, or something that can be addressed to these young makers so that they can continue their interest and be inspired. Because makerspace can be very so-called, in very wide spectrums that you address many things. And all these so-called creation are something new, something different, something that someone may have not touched on. How do you actually get that in your experience in that makerspace itself?
I think actually we had a really good example from these young people who sat down here earlier actually, because what came out in leaps and bounds from them is the way that they inspired each other, they researched together, they worked as a community, and I thought it was so interesting about the value of working in the makerspace as opposed to the school, because they talked about different skill groups, and I've seen it actually running workshops at Geek, where parents have been quite concerned about their son or daughter who might be socially quite isolated, and they come here, and I get a lot of resistance because I work a lot with games, and it's sort of like parents aren't sure that's a good use of time. And they bring their students and they say, I'm really worried about my son or daughter because they spend a lot of time in their bedroom and they have no friends and all that kind of stuff. And we had a wonderful example where a mother came, she was sad that her son wanted to come and spend the day doing coding at half term, but because of his social isolation. And he came, and we were doing a sort of Minecraft coding thing, and when she came to collect him, sort of 5 hours later, he was surrounded by a large group of adoring fans, both male and female, because he had skills that the other students didn't have, and they were working together on a project, and he had a huge contribution to make. And this woman actually cried. This mother cried and said, he's going to be all right. and it was just, but she hadn't seen that in school, because in school he was isolated and lonely, but in this new environment he was respected and valued. And I think that that's what the Makerspace does, and I think I haven't answered how to set it up, but it's about the people. It's about creating the space that allow people to fulfill their interests or share their interests, but learn from others, because nothing is more contagious than somebody else's interest or passion. That's where you want to be, and you don't always see that in classrooms, even though education's changing.